Hi everyone, I am Shan.
And I am Tam. This is the Real Talk Podcast.
On this podcast, we have some candid conversations between us about love, family, faith, relationships, parenting, work-life balance, and everything in between.
We invite you to not only listen, but interact with us and our guests as we have some real
Talk.
Shan and Tam fam. We are back with another episode of Real Talk. We just want to say thank you so much for all the support that you've been providing to us. We've been getting a lot of comments, privately. I know y'all are listening, maybe not leaving comments on the pages, but you're reaching out to us. So thanks for all the support. And today we thought we'd talk about quote that I came across and pretty much, what this means to us individually. And we're hoping that you can get something out of this conversation that we're going to have today. As usual, like we've always told you, these conversations are just kind of organic. There's no pre-planning. So let's see what happens today. So our quote comes from Jane Austen, and it says, "We have all a better guide in ourselves if we would attend to it than any other person can be." I'm going to say it again. We have all a better guide in ourselves if we would attend to it than any other person can be. And this is by Jane Austen. So I'm throwing it out there for everybody to think about as we go through this discussion and even after. But Shan, what are your thoughts on that?
Several things that came up for me when you read this, and even looking at it, we have all a better guide in ourselves if we would attend to it than any other person can be. What's sticking out to me is the importance of not allowing everybody to speak into your life, because you know who you are, right? You have that guide, you have that passion, you have that purpose in you, and you need to foster this and not to allow every and anybody to speak into you. So that was one of the first thing that popped up for me when I saw that, especially when it says if we would attend to it. Sometimes we have things in us and we don't nurture it, we don't feed it, right? We don't take time to build on it, but then other people can come in and speak into that, right? But we have the ability to nurture what's within us. That's one of the things that pop out for me while reading that.
And yeah, to jump on your point, I think it's very important for us to, sometimes we don't even know what we have within us. And this is where my thoughts turn to now when I read that quote. It's about that little voice, right? That little voice, the intuition. And I know that personally for me, there are a lot of things that over the years, I've kind of had that little voice in my head telling me, okay, maybe you could do this, or you should try this, or what about this, or what about that? And I never listened to it, right? And I would never kind of step out on that little voice that I'm thinking.
Step out of the box.
Yeah, because listen, we're creatures of comfort.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah, we're creatures of comfort. We like what's comfortable. We like what we know.
Yes.
Unless you're a real risk taker, we go on a spectrum of being extreme risk takers to people who don't take risk at all, right? So we tend to want to stay in the middle a lot of times. And I know that this speaks to me in a way that sometimes you need to listen to that little voice inside of you, right?
Yeah.
And what it's telling you. No, it could be from one extreme to the next, which I think I want to talk about a little bit later. But in thinking about that, how it relates specifically to your point when you said sometimes people can come in and speak into these things in your life. It can either be speaking into them negatively or speaking into them positively. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. And that is another place where we need to pay attention.
Yes.
To, okay, I have this voice, I have this thing inside of me. What am I allowing somebody else to do to it? Are they helping me to develop it, or are they pushing it down?
No, I agree. I definitely agree, right? And it just goes hand in hand with a lot of the things that we've been talking about, right? Just on who you allow to speak into your life. And even you say in a positive way, like there are people there who see things in us sometimes that we don't necessarily see. Or there's people that will encourage us to do things that we never saw ourselves doing, right? So when it says that we all have a better guide in ourselves, sometimes, as you always say, Tam, trust your guts, trust your gut instincts, right? Because you know who you are as a person, right?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, if you don't know who you are, nobody else can tell you who you are.
Yes.
Right? You really have to know who you are as an individual and as a person.
Yeah, and that was one of the points that I wanted to talk on, the fact that you know you best, right? It doesn't matter who might think they know you know you best. And
you know you.
Yeah, and granted, sometimes you don't know everything about you either. I want people to think about that, right?
Yeah.
I find that I'm still learning and I'm still growing into who I am, even these 40 plus years of mine. But instinctually, you know yourself better than anybody else, and you know what your intentions are when you do things, you know what I mean? So yeah, I feel like you have to learn to trust yourself. And people might say, well, when I've trusted myself in terms of making decisions in the past or whatever, it hasn't worked out well. But that's okay. I think that's a part of the journey.
It's a part of the journey. It's a part of life, right? Because you're not going to always get it right.
Absolutely.
Right? I saw something even to that point, Viola Davis, I follow her on Instagram. And I saw she posted something the other day, and I thought it was so profound. Let me see if I can pull it up to that point, right? When you were saying it's okay if you don't get it right. She said, you don't need to have it all figured out right this second. Right. This feeling won't last forever. She was just saying for people to read this if it's been rough lately. And she said, remember, some things have to end for better things to begin.
Right.
And she said, healing and hurting at the same time is a normal part of recovery. You're not alone. She said, be kind to your mind. A lot of the stress we deal with are just our thoughts. Right? Which goes a lot into sometimes we're our own worst critic at times too.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? We're our own worst critic at times. We're the first one to say, oh, you can't do this or you can't do that, right? But then what is all of that about too?
Yeah, exactly. And one of the things that you just mentioned that she talked about, where you're not gonna get it right.
No.
All the time. And it's not gonna feel this way all the time. So even if you made a decision that didn't turn out to be the right decision at that time, think beyond that, right? And I think we've all ended up in those positions where you make a bad choice. Okay. All right. But I think that only comes with maturity too, that you can sometimes look back on those choices and say, okay, I made this wrong choice. What did I really learn here?
Yeah.
What do I want to take from this to move forward?
Yeah.
And what do I do differently next time? Me no say, in my 20s, whatever, the wrong choices that I made, I never had the wherewithal to think that way
The consequences.
No, like I
Yeah.
was beating up on myself for those decisions that, you know what I mean? So I think even us having these kinds of conversations now where people can be helped to understand that it's okay. Like,
yeah, it's okay to fail. And one of the things that came to me the other day in my own private time praying this week is that the things that we go through, they're not going to last forever.
yeah.
Right? Things are for a season, and you might feel a particular way now, but 6 months from now, you're not going to feel that way.
Or you feel differently.
You're
Yeah,
going to feel differently.
Yeah, you feel
Right? So
differently.
things, yeah, like situations, things change, right? But one of the things that stood out to me this week is to don't allow temporary situations to allow you to make permanent decisions.
Real talk.
Real talk.
Right? Sit with things for a minute.
Yeah.
Right? Work through them as much as you can and don't make decision based on you being emotional. Pretty much. Right? Yeah. Because when you're in an emotional state, sometimes you're not thinking clearly, right? But you have to go through that whole process of healing or whatever that means for you. And as I said, don't allow a temporary decision to allow you to make a temporary situation to allow you to make a permanent decision, right? When you're clear-headed and focused, then you can do it. And at the end of the day, we are both believers, Tam, and we pray, we trust God, we pray. Situations don't last forever. Things are always for a season, right? But it's what you do during that season and during that waiting time.
Yeah. And that speaks to, I think, something that I was thinking about, and I'm probably going to play devil's advocate in a little bit too. So one of the thoughts I had when I looked at this quote was, is it a yes or is it a no? Like when you're trying to make those decisions too, like to listen to that gut or intuition. If something is presented to you and like right away you can say yes or you can say no, this is for me or this is not for me. I think that that's where you should start off in terms of making those decisions that, like you just talked about, could possibly be permanent, right?
Yeah.
Okay, because then I find that when you get into the area of, well, I don't know, I wonder if I should, you know what I mean? That no kind of brings some level of uncertainty and questioning and why am I really doing this? I think that can be a dangerous place to be. But hear me being devil's advocate now. Is it altogether wrong for you to actually question yourself sometimes when you right away you jump and say yes or no? I think there are instances where you do need to probably have that wavering because what is the reason that you're making that decision? Is it really because you want to say the yes or you think you should say yes?
Okay.
I don't know if you understand what I mean, because it's
the importance of waiting sometimes. That's what
like sometimes you really need to examine where your first thought goes. So it's not that you don't trust it's not that you totally and completely trust yourself in making the right decision all the time. Yeah. But sometimes you need to question yourself as to why am I actually making this decision? So it's like a double-edged sword for me, right? Yeah. Because I feel like if automatically sometimes my gut says, yeah, man, make we do it, or no, I mean, I think so. No, like this isn't for me.
Yeah.
It's not in every instance that yes or that no will actually be the right decision.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, makes
sometimes
sense.
you have to listen to other people's perspective too, right?
Yeah, it's good to get different perspectives at times.
Because, okay, from a practical standpoint, for me and Patrick, right? Like we always talk about sort of how we go about making decisions, that can move us forward and stuff. So we always laugh about the fact that he's the strategic thinker, right? So he looks at the big picture, and then I get the plan and I execute the plan.
Yeah.
And we have two different levels of sort of risk aversion when it comes to making decisions. He'll go full force ahead.
Full force into it. Yeah.
I mean, no say he's not gonna kill me for saying this because he knows the truth.
Yeah. I know.
When he listens. And
Yes.
I will be the one that was like,
you're more risky. Look at the risk.
Yeah, I'll be like, hold on a second.
Yeah.
But in instances where my initial thought have been, no, sir, no, we now do that.
Yeah.
It's only after he's now sort of come to me with, the different kind of pros and cons or whatever, given me his arguments, where then I have actually had to change my mind to say, okay,
that can't possibly work.
Yeah, let's do this then. So as much as I trust myself that I can make good decisions, sometimes I really need to step back as well.
And look at other people's perspective.
And look at another perspective. That's just my thing. That was a long-winded way of trying to get that point out, but I hope the people are mad at me.
Yes. It's all good. I get what you're saying. No, you're right. Sometimes you just have to look at other people's perspective as well, too.
Yeah.
Real talk.
Real talk. And then another thing that you mentioned very early on is about the aspect of fear, right?
Yeah.
Why we don't listen to that inner voice. When you look at that quote, yeah, why are we really holding back? Why do we probably think that we shouldn't do something? Or it's usually due to fear.
Fear.
And I know that that's a big thing for me to recognize times when I'm afraid, where I know that what my actions are being driven only by fear, and what am I gonna do about it?
Yeah, because fear fear will cripple you and prevent you from doing anything really, right? Because it has a voice to tell you can't do it, you're not enough, right? But as the quote said, we have the power to really pretty much tap into what's within us, right? Because if we allow fear to set us back, we wouldn't be able to do anything, right? We wouldn't do anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Tam, as I said, when you started off the conversation, we're really trying to see if we can hear from the viewers as well as to what are some things that they would want us to talk about. I know we have a few guests coming on within the next couple of weeks. And today is a slow day for us. It's actually a holiday here in Canada. But by the time the viewers hear this, it will be next Sunday. But we're already the 6th month of the year. Can you believe it?
We're in July. This is like insane for me.
Yeah. The 6th are, we're already middle of the year. Yeah. Just now it's Christmas. The year is almost done. So probably something for the viewers to think about, are the listeners. How are you going to end the remainder of the year? Right? Yeah. I know we started the quote with, let me just read the quote again, just to center the conversation. We have all a better guide in ourselves if we would attend to it than any other person can be. So how are we going to use that to really end the rest of the year? Because just now it's going to be December And
Yeah.
we're going to be looking at a new year, a new season. The the year has already, children finished school last week.
Yeah.
Parents are looking for summer break, our caregivers, those who are traveling. I mean, we're in summer now. How are we going to really take the time to build on ourselves for the remainder of the year? And what does that mean for everyone who is listening?
I think that's an awesome point to leave our listeners with, for them to contemplate. Yeah, what is your gut telling you right now? What is it that you're not stepping out to do? What is it that you would like to do? What is it that you haven't done? What decision is it that you're still wavering about? Are you trusting yourself right now? Do you trust yourself? Do you have trusted people in your life that you can actually listen to? Yeah, and help to speak into those decisions that you have to make to end the year. We started the year with starting off this year with this podcast being brand new, which was something new for the both of us.
Yeah, and it's gotten such positive feedback.
Yeah, so for anyone who hasn't taken that leap of faith yet, listen to your gut, or we believe, listen to the Spirit, the Holy Spirit. What are you gonna do about that?
Yeah, and just do it. Sometimes you just have to just do it, right?
Yeah.
Just do it.
Move into the second half of the year. So that's it for us today, Pam.
Yes. Nice, sweet, and short.
Yes. And we encourage you to continue to listen. Just continue reaching out to us. I know some people shy to put out themselves on the media platforms, but we welcome your messages. We love getting them. We love talking to people and hearing their thoughts about the topics that we've been talking about. So continue to share it. Share the episode like food, people. We love food. Share it.
I know. Share. Subscribe.
Yes.
Drop us a comment.
Yes. Listen on Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio podcast, on Facebook, and on YouTube. But I have no excuse, people.
None at all.
Okay. We love you. Y'all take care. Walk good. Until next time.
Okay. Bye, everyone.
Don't forget to visit Shan and Tam on all their social media websites. At Sisters Shan and Tam on Instagram, Shan Tam Lodge-Lee on Facebook, and check out their blogs at shanandtam.blogspot.com. Tune in again next time on Real Talk.
Real talk.
Real talk.